Hello, and welcome to Wakilisha show on PrayerCaveTV. I hope that you've had a good and blessed week. This is the day that the Lord has made, that we may rejoice and be glad in it. My name is Esther Mwangi, and I am your host for today. We are so happy to be here today, continuing with our series from the previous week and on addiction. Last week we covered loss and grief among the youth, because we felt it is a major concern that is not dealt with most times, and that many youth are dealing with, and can also be a cause for them to get into addiction as they are trying to cope. And we had said that we would make addiction a series, and today we are back covering another topic on addiction, which is a major problem among the youth, even in our churches. Yes, and we are looking at drug and substance addiction. Today with us, we have Mama Abi again, a lady who we all know and love, a mother, a teacher, and a counselor. And she loves the Lord, and she's a prayerful woman. And I know you'll be blessed. So call your friends, call your neighbors, call everyone. Watch as a family, because this is important for both children and parents. Before I invite Mama Abi, I would like to read from the book of Ephesians 5, verse 15 to 16. And it says, "Be very careful then how you live, not as unwise, but as wise, making the most of every opportunity, because the days are evil." We are living in evil times, people. We are living in evil times, and the Bible encourages us to be careful on how we live. Live with wisdom. And wisdom, the good thing about wisdom is that the Bible says that if any of you lacks wisdom, we should ask God for wisdom. So live wisely, be careful, hide yourself in the Lord, hide yourself in the word of the Lord, and hide yourself in prayer. Without further ado, I would want to welcome Mama Abi. Welcome, Mama Abi.
Thank you, Esther, for the hearty welcome. It is a joy to be here to serve God and to serve humankind. And I'm sure that somebody will be helped today.
Yes, true. Wow, thank you so much for making time. And the last week we covered the issue of internet addiction. And you know, addiction is a very wide topic.
Yeah.
And we saw that internet addiction is a deep problem that affects children, even in the church setting. It's not a matter that we should ignore. And so today we've moved on to drug and substance addiction, which is another form of addiction. And so maybe you can mention, because there has been a huge outcry of addiction and drug use from parents and society, even amongst small children nowadays. Could you please expound on this?
Okay, to start with, drugs is a major issue in our country and in the world, actually. And it should be a major concern for everybody. And we in the church should not bury our heads in the sand. We cannot say that we are in church, there are no drugs in church. Because you know, the enemy is, you know, he moves like a roaring lion looking for whom to devour. So it is very useful for us to really know that drugs are there and how can we deal with them, not just out there, but even in the church setups and in the home and schools and colleges. Those issues are there, and not just with the young people, but even with old people. But in this show, we deal with children. That is our major concern. So we will narrow down to the children. How are drugs affecting children? How can we help? How can we empower the parents so that they can cope and even help their children?
Wow. And you know, as you are speaking, I remembered one interview we did during the COVID times when we had that show. And I remember you speaking about kids, small children, being sold to sweets in the form of drugs. So I'm hoping that is something that we can get into
Yeah, we
during
can talk
this?
about it because those things are still going on.
Yeah.
Maybe even at a larger scale. And people need information. Awareness is power.
Yeah.
Yes. People need awareness, and I believe that the more parents have awareness, the more they are able to cope with this issue of drugs. Yeah.
Okay. And speaking on drugs, maybe we can start by you telling us what are the common drugs that kids are using? Okay,
to start with, drugs, we are talking about the harmful drugs, the ones that are used to as an abuse, because we have the medical drugs, but I am sorry to say that there are so many, and sometimes children are even involved without their knowledge. For example, a pregnant mother who is abusing drugs passes that to the children, and normally that is many times in form of smoking. Or a father who is smoking and the pregnant wife is within the area. So when they inhale that smoke, it destroys, it affects the baby, the unborn baby, and normally they are born with low birth weight. It can be that serious. They can even get congenital abnormalities. So they range from even just cigarettes, even glue. You have seen kids sniffing glue all over. And the street children, even when they are pregnant, they also sniff the glue. And you see, because it's like vapor, it goes direct to the blood system. So it is very swift. I got a very sad encounter once. It was Thika town. We had taken students for an outing, and then some street children gathered around our bus. Some climbed the bus, you know, the roof, and they were picking some fruits. And what caught my eye was a young girl, maybe 13 years. Actually, I was able to talk to her. She was 13, and she was pregnant, and she was sniffing glue, and I was so disturbed. And I got to talk to her. And you see, what happens is that this young girl, she has grown in the streets. And when they grow in the streets, they must get protection from a bigger boy. If they don't, they are gang raped. You see? So you just choose one. So you are like a wife, and then you are protected. So they begin sex so early. So the minute they begin their menses, they just get pregnant. So that was the case for that child. So I was looking at her unborn baby. That baby will be born intoxicated. And so that baby is already predisposed to taking drugs. Because in the streets they will, mostly they sniff the glue. And they do it so that they feel satisfied. They are hungry. When they sniff the glue, they are intoxicated, they can sleep. You see? And that's we are talking of drugs beginning from when the kids are even unborn. So these kids, again, when they come from such families, they will also, the mothers may give them alcohol so that they can sleep, because there is no food. So if they're given, you know, it's available cheaply. If they're given alcohol, they can take it and they can sleep. So that child, they stay in that state of addiction. So it is a lifestyle for them. So that is, now we have talked of glue, we have talked of cigarettes, we are talking of things like mirror. You know, people chew mirror, and you see, mirror, they are available everywhere. They are just available anywhere, and so, you know, the child will take it like this is normal. And therefore they just, even for fun, as out of curiosity, these things that people chew, how does it taste? You see? So that is another very commonly abused. There is, of course, bangi. It has many street names. Weed, you know, some call it weed, some call it marijuana. So again, that one is, it is, oh my, it is so much. It is so much. It is so available. Like this, in 3 minutes, Esther,
You have it.
You have it.
Yeah.
And then we have others that keep coming up. We have Kuber. Kuber, it's put under the tongue and then it dissolves.
Wow.
So somebody can just be taking it and you're not even aware.
Yeah.
Because but okay, we talk about the side effects. That's another common one. The others that keep coming up, some are even they are meant for psychiatric patients. Yeah. And they are finding their way into the drug market, and they are dangerous, Esther. They are dangerous. Especially those ones, they normally dissolve in changa. Can you imagine, Esther? No. They dissolve them in changa and then they take it. And when they do that, the effect is so bad. I mean, they can do nothing the whole day. And they want something that will make them intoxicated very fast. Yeah. Yeah. So they go, the stronger the better for them. So you can imagine how destructive that is. And we have others, others that are not overt. For example, we are talking of the sweets. Yeah. They're just sweets, common sweets, but they have drugs. Yeah. We have the weed cookies. They are very popular in parties. Yeah. And those ones especially, they are taken innocently because you will just think they are cookies. Imagine. Yeah. But once you take several, you begin to feel, you get high. So then we have shisha. It has become very common as well, especially, unfortunately, Esther, with girls. I don't know why it is more popular with girls, and they're so proud of it. Very proud. They're so proud of it. They all take clips. Social media. You have seen, yes. They take clips. They make smoking look so glamorous. So those are major ones, and many others, Esther, we don't know because they keep evolving. They keep coming up because if there is an entry point for the enemy in the lives of any person, it is drugs. Yeah. Even those who are involved in rituals, for them to be able to do those gruesome things and they have no feelings, first of all, they take bangi. So much of it, so they have no feelings. Yeah. They can do anything. Yeah. Then unfortunately, like in schools, kids, if there is bullying, and I'm glad the Ministry of Education has really been tough on bullying, and I am, as a teacher, I can say I can say that the levels have really gone down, unless it is very hidden. But there was a time there was a lot of bullying, and in the process they would be forced to take bangi. And you see now, when you are forced and you are taking, still the effect is the same. Yeah. You become addicted, and then it is you who will be looking for it. Oh my goodness. Yeah. So all those things are there, and so there are many. There are many. It's like a buffet. Wow. That is very, very sad. And to hear that even children are being forced and children are being born addicts. So it was not that person's choice to do that. Some of them are buying weed cookies, you know, unknowingly. Yeah, because I heard about that story some years back in Embu, where kids would, as they are going to school, they would go buy those cookies. Some of them would even take them to school as snacks. And you know, you wonder what is happening to children. They might also wonder what is happening to them, because they might feel the change. So I think educating children and warning them about these things is very important, which brings me to the next question. How can parents know that their kids are abusing drugs, and maybe we can also look at how they can, you know, talk to them and educate them on the same. Okay, once people begin taking drugs, and unfortunately, sometimes a child can take drugs for so long and nobody is aware, you know? Yeah. And especially these days when we have we have tight schedules.
Yeah.
The parents are away most of the times. They come late. They go out early. So the children are left alone on their own for so long.
Yeah.
So, and the worst environment for drugs, actually, it's not school, but home. Because home, they can go out, they go to the video dance, they have friends. You know, school, there's a bit of control.
Yeah.
But once a child is in drugs, you know, they keep taking toll, you know, it's a process. And Esther, from the onset, let me say that each drug, there is an effect it has on the brain and even on other parts of the body.
Yeah.
And so, like, especially for children, number one, the grades drop. They just nosedive, because maybe that child already, once they're high, you know, now they're in another world.
Yeah.
Now, when the levels go down, they want another dose, because the withdrawal symptoms begin. In the process, they're just thinking of, how do I get the next drug? And imagine if a child is in school. And that is why sometimes kids refuse to boarding schools.
Yeah.
They insist, I want to be in a day school, so that they can fix, you know. So such a child who is thinking of, how do I get my next high, you know, they can't concentrate in class. Then even the appearance, the physical appearance, they begin to look shabby. They look withdrawn, especially withdrawal, because to start with, they know they are doing the wrong thing, and then they can't stop. They are. We live in a very harsh society. You know this one, so we don't want people with drugs. You know? Even you, Esther, your child, if you hear a boy is taking drugs and they're walking, hey, Esther, you will evacuate, you know. So because they also fear the repercussions, they tend to just withdraw. But so we have talked of the poor grades, they withdraw, you know, even red eyes. There are the minor habits like spitting, like the Kuber. It after some hours. After 6 hours, the withdrawal comes. So imagine they are supposed to take it after every 6 hours, because if they don't, they feel nauseated, very nauseated, and they get headaches. So they keep spitting. They keep spitting. I had once a teacher telling me how she had an issue with people washing class. And finally they opened up. They said the people are spitting, you know. So now you can imagine people are spitting all over, and you're making people who are not taking the drugs clean the class. So you can see how disgusting. So you can see even the learning environment is compromised for everybody. So they must, and those people will keep sneaking. They become shady, you know. They become another item altogether. They are not their normal self, because they are like, how do I go? How do I sneak? How do even stealing? Even stealing is a major thing. If your child keeps taking money from you and you don't know where the money is going, just know there is something they're feeding. There is a habit they're feeding. There is also, they can be sleeping too much or too little, because you know some drugs are stimulants, like Mira. You can, that is why the long distance drivers take them, because it makes them keep awake. And they can also overeating. It can also be an issue. Yani they can eat 2 plates, big ones, na bado they want to eat more.
Especially the weed,
Yes, they eat, and that is why when people are working, you know, the manual work, they like to take the weed. It gives them extra energy, and they can really work without getting tired. Then there is another one of because of the effect on the brain. The brain, the cells die depending on which one. Like cocaine and heroin, they're really destructive on the brain. So the brain is like punctured.
Yeah.
you know, so they feel cold.
Oh.
They feel extremely cold, so they are always in hoods.
Yeah. I have seen.
You have seen.
Yeah.
They either muffins or a hood, even when it's very hot.
Yeah.
They must keep.
Yeah.
Because they feel cold. They just feel, because the head, hey, Esther, it is terrible. So those are some of the telltale signs.
No.
Low self-esteem, they become dirty, disorganized, you know. And you see, drugs have a very demonic component in them. Because when they destroy the mind, they destroy the soul, they destroy relationships. So this person feels like, I am losing it.
Yeah. And
they are like, how do I stop? I have, you know, sometimes there's a way you nap somebody like this.
Yeah.
And then you're like, please, let's talk. Let's talk one-to-one.
Yeah.
And the things they will tell you, Esther, you will just say, God have mercy. Because, you know, we condemn them.
Yeah.
And we don't know they are going through so much. We don't know that they are lonely. Inside, they are lonely, they are hollow, they are crying for help. And the help is not forthcoming. People are just condemning, they get isolated. And you see, when you keep quarreling, even if it's your parents, and they are complaining, you have stolen, you have done this, you know, it will affect you.
Yeah.
So those are major signs of a child taking drugs.
Wow.
Especially stealing, withdrawal, poor grades, just generally a sudden change, which you can't explain. Isolation, you can tell happen there is something.
Yeah. And you know, it's so important that you've mentioned they are hollow and they are crying for help. Because as society we instantly assume this is a thug, this one cannot be helped, huyu hata ni mwizi, you know, let's get rid of this one, instead of taking the important step of helping them. So it's very important a point I've taken for us to, you know, to be closer to them at that moment, and to just love them and to look for the help, to help them look for the help they need. Because as you are speaking, I've realized there are kids who get into this even without knowing, you know. There are some who will get into it just because they were introduced to it, and you know, they got into it innocently. So and I want to mention, because you know, as a Christian TV channel, and we preach, you know, Christian values, and I also want to briefly mention drugs in church, because especially I know people from different denominations, from different churches might be watching. And this is also an issue that we cannot ignore, because you know the devil is targeting this generation and is trying to kill the body of Christ. And you know, this generation is the next, you know, they are the next generation that will be preaching the gospel and doing the work of God. And so I thought to mention to our viewers that it's very important to also look for these problems, to also identify these children even in the church, because they are not only out there, they are also coming to look for that help in the church, and we cannot ignore. So as you have had, I'm sure you have had the signs to look out for. So this applies also to anyone and the people in church. Just look out for those signs among our children, because I'm sure there are those children that come and go to churches with that specific problem, looking for help, and you know, it's very important that they get it. And so in Kenya, that problem has been on the rise. There was a time we used to hear it in other countries like Mexico, the US, and you know, it was not as much to us. And even when it was there, it was among the older people, the adults. But now it's really common among the youth, you know, and the children. And so why do you think that the problem of drugs has risen so much in the country of late?
There are many reasons for that. Number one is availability. They are so readily available, and this is because there is the spirit of greed and corruption. You will hear that a lorry has been intercepted carrying bangi, tons, and so imagine if it arrives that, you know, that amount. So number one, it is so available. You know, it's even grown. It's being grown. And then there are also other dynamics in the country, like the fabric of the society has really broken. You know, in the past, the child belonged to the society. Today, the parent belongs to the mother and father. Sometimes the child even belongs to themselves alone. I mean, you cannot, Esther, if I meet your child messing around and I pinch them a bit and I tell them, don't do it again, here ni case, you know. So, what has happened? People just keep off. Mind your own
business.
God for us all, and every man for himself. So that brokenness of society has really contributed. I remember when we were growing up as children, I grew in that period of the child belongs to the society. I remember my father, anybody refusing to go to school, you know, they would say, sio suruari, you know, but in my neighborhood, anybody refusing to go to school, my father would go and say, did I hear you said you will not go to school? You see, and you see the parents are okay with that. Today you cannot do that. So, and sometimes even when you see a child going wayward and you tell the mother, it becomes a case. Unaonea mtoto wangu, we will see you as, you know, all those kind of things. So that lack of collective responsibility in raising the children has really brought down the society. So kids do what they wish. And unfortunately, the parents are not there. Because even me right now, I'm here. I'm not with my children, you see. And others are away. Even this thing of going to Middle East, children are left in the hands of sometimes the grandmothers and other people who are not really able to take care. And I don't blame those who go there, because they go there because they want to look for money. They want school fees for their children. So it is what we call psychosocial. They just the things in the society, they are causing other problems. So those are two factors. Availability, lack of corporate parental guidance on the kids, and then again, you know, the culture is dynamic. We have a crop of young people and they are adventurous. So if they hear, what is that, you know, you just give a story. Hey, we went for a party. And parties are such a breeding ground for drugs, Esther. That is where like people are initiated. The birthday parties, like now the school, the form 4s have finished. They organize parties. And in those parties, you know, it is kujiachili. Yes, all those, you can imagine, if you don't have God, what extents you can go. All that stress marathon, and then exams for a month. So you just want to steam off. And so they are just available there. You're initiated. And again, even after the rites of passage, kids are really introduced by others, maybe those who are taking care of them, and they're told this is how you become a man, you see. So they begin, but you begin and you go on. So those are major issues. Then there is another major issue, the media. The media has made drugs look so fabulous. You know, you will see people smoking and drinking, and then you're like, if you want to be successful, this is what you do. And you know, children, what we don't know is the biggest method for kids to learn is observation. They copy what they see. So, like, look at this child whose father sends them for cigarettes every day. So, And they believe, you know, they believe in parents.
Yeah.
Can you tell this child cigarettes are bad? You can't.
You can't.
Maybe the child, maybe hata niye anatumwa akanunue sugar to brew the traditional, whether it's busa or muratina or whatever it is. Sometimes they are even made, they do it.
Yeah.
They know, you see?
Yeah.
So they grow up doing these things.
Yeah.
And so it's a way of life.
Yeah.
If it's in the family, there are cabinets.
Yeah.
There is a bar. Yeah. In some homes, there is actually a room, an actual bar, where after people do everything they do, there is a room just set aside. So that child grows up knowing this is okay.
Yeah.
And you can never, you know, we say train up a child in the way
to go.
Yes. So that is the way you have trained. Getting them out of there, it is the grace of God. So the availability, the hype from the mass media, and then our children, they want shortcuts. I don't know whether you are aware, Esther.
Yeah,
they want shortcuts. They want shortcuts. And you see, even in schools, we are not helping them so much. Because like calculators, I know, did you use calculators?
Yes.
Us, we didn't. And therefore you had to think. I know this is the IT era. Yeah. But sometimes I think this IT has made us so lazy. You know, we can't think. So even mentally, these kids, their cognitive abilities are very low. Their ability to think and you know, rationalize, it's very low. Do you know why? Because every time there is no, you know, the mind should be exercised. I remember when we were growing up, we would play games like Kati. There is another one, we would draw lines. You're supposed to run with nobody touching you until you go across. And you see, that required you
to think.
How do I, it's like chess. How do I evade? You see? Now those games, they were so basic, but they helped the mind. Now, today, the child is just there
on the phone.
They don't think. So, even when they are told, kuna kakitu ebu to try, they just, because the cognitive ability is very low. They don't think much. It's just. So, those are things that are making our kids really go to drugs. The other one is frustrations, like, you know, breakup of families. And you know, when a family breaks, you know, the child belongs to both. They are really torn. There is the mother, there is the father. Which way do we go? You see, now as they go through these traumas, they are looking for a way of escape. How can I escape this pain? They can just do anything to escape that reality. So that's another major factor. And hopelessness. Sometimes there's a lot of hopelessness. Think about the COVID period, Esther, what people went through. You can imagine children are at home. There is no food. They cannot go out to play because, you know, kids, even when there is no food, they will still play. And they'll forget they are hungry until they come home. You see? So that hopelessness they experienced, they find a way of escaping that pain, numbing the pain, and in the process they escape to drugs. The other thing is that the drugs are very cheap. With 50 shillings, you can 50 shillings, you can do so much. You can take alcohol, you can take bangi, you can take mira, you can take so many. So they are cheap. They are cheap and they are available. So that makes it. And then I don't know how the way the issues of drugs are dealt with, both administratively and even the society, you know. I think there are so many gaps. There are so many gaps. And so it is like, we say, like the borders are porous, you know. There is, people can just walk in and out. So it's like lawlessness. And therefore, the kids are just there. And we say, when two bulls fight, it is the grass. And that is where our kids are. And I'm so happy you've mentioned mass media, because the other week we were talking about internet addiction, and you know, it shows that
them being on their screens for too long and seeing, you know, like in movies, like you'll see that there are movies that bring kids at a party enjoying drugs so much, and so it's possible for those kids to copy that from there. And you know, as we were speaking about society not taking responsibility, plus the issue of mass media and hopelessness, I've thought about nature and nurture. You know, just the environment where the kids grow in can also be a cause, because I was in Mathare and we got there at night, and outside there were people who were using miraa, they were being sold outside in the open, and some people were drunk and others were high. But then when we went back there during the day, there is an old man with a cyber, and in the cyber there were kids using the laptops, the computers, all the computers. There was no adult using the computers. There were kids on YouTube, kids on the internet using the computers. And I was thinking, maybe this mzee, because it's an old mzee that owns the cyber, I was thinking maybe this mzee is shielding the kids from what is happening in the outside. But by bringing them here, they are being exposed to something else. So, you know, that has brought me to think about the nature and nurture, you know, just the environment where the kids grow. They grow surrounded by these things, and even the one who is trying to hide them somewhere else is taking them to the, you know, to a trigger that may cause them to get into drugs.
It's a case of from the frying pan to the fire. So actually the issue of drugs is so complicated, because like recently the girls have been really on the rise taking drugs. Girls. And you know, when girls take drugs, it is serious, because by nature women are vulnerable. When they get drunk, they are gang raped. You know,
it's true.
Anything can happen to them. You know, they are weak, they are defenseless. So it is true that it is God. It is God and a lot of effort, concerted effort from everybody, so that we know that there is a system. There should be a system even of, like when the kids are on the holiday. Esther, you can imagine people who live in flats, there's no playground even. There is nowhere the kids can go out and just, even if it's a ball made of papers, you know, so they're just in the house. What do you think they will do, Esther? They can't just eat and watch TV. They will find ways of you know, coping, releasing that energy and coping. And then again, it's also stressful. And that is why you find that in schools there is a playground. PE is compulsory. Extracurricular curricular activities, they are compulsory, and all these are meant for the kids to release their energy positively. But when they are just now in a house, glued on the TV, things will come up which are not good. And let me say this, that it is not only the family that will suffer. Actually, Esther, right now, it's like the way HIV and AIDS was sometimes, that each family was either infected or affected. That is where we are, infected or affected. Because Esther, if somebody is taking drugs and is stealing from you, because they have stolen what they can steal from their family, they extend the theft. Are you not affected?
I am.
You are.
I am. So speaking of affected, how do drugs affect children and even parents and the society at large when the children take the drugs?
It is everyone is affected. Because we say, you know, life is generational. We raise children so that they can take over from us. So even if I raise my children nicely and all the others are like that, there's no balance. So the society loses. Somebody who was meant to be somebody very useful in the society they have become nothing. That will affect us. And then of course the parents, there are many issues, because number one is stigma. There is a lot of stigma with people who are taking drugs, and you know, people will tend to think the parents did not do enough, or they're irresponsible. And you know, like in the African setup, we always have a reason for something. But I want to say that there are very well-meaning parents whose children are on drugs, and they are suffering, and they have done their best. So the best thing is we embrace these people, and we don't shift blame. For the children, they are the biggest losers, because number one, when they begin taking drugs, they don't go to school. I mean, through the school system. Sometimes they may even go to campus. Now somebody just floats there. You know that story. Paka graduation, you even call your people to come. Now you are not even graduated. We have had parents collapsing in the graduation squares. We didn't hear, we can't hear the name. They look at the booklet, they can't see the name. Kube, that person has been asking for school fees, and they have been spending it, and they have said even I'm graduating, and they are not graduating. And parents come with the 2 buses. Oh no. And they don't graduate. You can imagine the pain. The pain. You know how shattered that time maybe. Anyway, so it is bad. It is huge. So the kids miss out on school, and therefore their destinies are destroyed. They miss their purpose in life. Then they also spiritually they are destroyed, and they are in the hands of the enemy. Because once the enemy is able to capture your soul, he can manipulate you. So much. You can steal, you can do, you know. So you know, they are destroyed. Then their body, their health is really affected. These are people who will even sell everything. Maybe they sleep on the floor because they can't keep anything. They must dispose so that they can get the next fix. They then, even those drugs, each drug destroys the body in a particular way. Like people, like take something like changa. Changa will just burn your digestive system. It is burnt and destroyed. Diseases like liver cirrhosis, the liver is eaten up. We have even kidneys, so the health, so to say. And then I have seen lately, I think the bangi, the drugs that are doing rounds, they are bad, because there's a lot of madness with young people. Oh no. A lot of it. Yani they have taken, and until the brain is destroyed. And you know, sometimes, Esther, somebody can begin at 4 years. Na parent hajui. So they keep, you know, the more you take, you keep increasing the dosage. So by the time you're getting to high school, uko HDU, campus, ICU. No. So the health is really compromised, even to that extent of madness. And then there is, you know, with drugs, there is something we call compulsive disorder. You know, something you do, you just keep doing it, and you have no control of it. I have given an example of somebody I have always wept for. Somebody who runs about 30 kilometers daily. If you leave very early at 6 a.m., you will see him running on the road. Route 1. Let me not say which route he uses. Lunchtime, an answer 10, another. And sometimes I have seen him very far from his own home. He is sweating, it is hot, kofia, jacket. Unaona, you know, like he will get a heat stroke. And I said, God, you are merciful, and there is nothing you can't do. Touch this man. That is a compulsive disorder. You just find yourself doing it, you can't control it. and it's happening a lot. That's an effect of drugs. By the time they are there, they are psychotic. I mean, it's madness, you see. And I believe that nobody wants that for their child. Even nobody wants it for their neighbor, even for their worst enemy, Esther. That's an effect. And you see, now, in that context, everybody is affected. Like me, I don't know that man. Hata sijui their family. But when I see that, I'm so broken. I'm so broken, and I'm like, God, how can I help this man? And sometimes things are so complicated. So all those are effects, Esther. And you see now for children, the smaller ones, you can imagine children, small children who are taking drugs. Number one, they become stunted, their growth. And then, of course, retardation, even of the mind. They are not going to school, they are not growing well. So they are vulnerable. Just vulnerable, and anybody can use them. There is a time thieves were using small children to steal. Small children. There was a case of a boy, he was in a boarding school. Lakini he would escape. I think every Friday he would escape, but he would go to steal. So they would be gathered in a room. You know that some people can, oh God have mercy. They would be gathered in a room. First of all, they would be brought girls. So I want you to see that this is a person who is very strategic to destroy them. They would be brought girls for sex. Then they would be given bangi. Then now they would go out. It's like commissioning. And you see why they liked them, these small ones. You know, they can go through. Come on, a small place. They can slide. And they would even have guns. And so the police, they can't suspect. I mean, this is a child. Lakini if that child is in their normal state, they cannot agree. So those are things which are happening in the society. They are sickening, and that is why we should pray. When you pray, Esther, don't just pray for your children. Pray for your neighbor's children. Pray for the children in the neighborhood. Pray for the children of this nation. Because eventually when I look at it this way, the level of drugs that is there. There is somebody who was telling me in another school, it's even a boarding school, a good school, that in the class it's like everybody takes. And you know, they are so innovative in acquiring these drugs. The innovations that are there, you'll be shocked, Esther. They beat the teachers. You know, they will be checked at the gate. They will overturn their bags, but still. So if the whole class is doing it, you are like, see, everybody's doing it. So, but what are we as a country? Now, can we look at a higher platform? As a country, we are losing a generation. We are losing a generation, and we think we are making progress. And we are losing a whole generation. Alcohol has become so popular with children, very popular. And I have said, like when they organize birthdays, that one is the cake. Like they must have bangi. And next time I'm telling you what I have gathered from young people across. The menu, birthday menu, I mean requirements. Bangi, alcohol, those two must be there. Then of course they can add others. So it is becoming like a normal thing. And there is I have done this in Wakilisha, normalized sins. The way we have normalized sin. So sin is not sin anymore because everybody is doing it. But believe you me, sin is sin. And God will never lower the standard. And that is why when they go for functions, maybe family get-togethers, there is wine for the ladies and beer for the guys. So you know the children are watching. So they are like, this is what the grown-ups do. So when they go for their parties, they do what the grown-ups do. So they become, there's a lot of addiction to alcohol. Actually, it is on the rise, and it is sad.
Yeah.
It is very sad. It is sad.
That is sad. That is incredibly sad. And I know that maybe one of the ways that we can help them is through prayer, because some of these situations, the children find themselves in those circumstances. So I love what you said, that pray for the children, and not only your children, pray for other people's children, pray for the children in the neighborhood, the children in the country, so that you cannot lose, you know, a whole generation. And that brings me to the question of how we can assist them, you know, as a country at large, narrowing down all the way to the family, because I've gathered that some of them were, you know, the agents of socialization, the family, the church, the school, and the government, you know. So those are I believe those are the 4 agents or 5 agents that are responsible for helping these children. And so maybe as a family, straight down from the family unit to the school, to the church, to the country as a whole, how is it that we can help these children?
I think we begin with the family, because one of the problems that has come up with the Kenyan parents, they have relegated their role. They say the church will do it, the school will, but I believe it begins from the family, because Esther, you have seen, drug taking can begin very early. Maybe it can even be the caretaker, the person who is always around there. You think you have locked your house,
the house help,
and the gates, and you have dogs, but there are people who come. You see? So I believe that the family should be the first to you know, mitigate this. Number one, by value system. What value system do you have? Because Esther, you cannot drink wine and preach water. So what the role modeling, what can the children see in you as parents? So, and then you create awareness. This is happening. There are weed cookies. There are sweets that have drugs. So just creating awareness. Even these parties that are so many, and sleepovers, Esther. That is where they're getting introduced, by the way. So the family should really have a start, and every parent should take charge of their own children. Don't expect the teachers to do it. The teachers are very busy with the syllabus. Okay? Then in the church again, because now from the family we go to the church. So the church should also not say, this is church, everybody here is saved, going to heaven. Let us know we are in the world. The Bible says we are in the world, but not of the world. So the church should also have a program that educate the members, educate the parents, educate kids. And we do that in Sunday school a lot. We talk about these things, because it's not just telling Jesus saves. We need to equip them so that they can fit in the society. You know, to be streetwise. Because ile shida inakuwa Esther, sometimes we are so godly, but we are so naive. And then even Jesus said the people of the world are wiser than us. So we should also get streetwise, so that we know how to drugs. You know, these days I can easily pick a peddler, Esther, because they are just shady. The way they do things, they will just be queer, and they are always on the look. You know, they are very alert. You can almost pick them. So we need to tell our children, this world, I mean this Kenya, we must be wise the way we live. And even like when they go for parties, you don't leave a drink and then you come and continue. Even the people in the bar, they know that. If you open a drink, you drink and finish. You cannot leave it there, go to the washroom and come back. You will find it has what they call mchele. That is how they get the mchele. So we must know how is the enemy attacking. To be forewarned is to be forearmed. Then, so the church should talk about drugs, and then the church should not condemn. there should be that embracing, because you see, we said these kids who may be going to those things, they are running away from a bad reality, a situation. So if again now you condemn them and you brand them, drag, you know, you are not helping. So there should be a way of loving them. You just you know it, they know you know it, but you love them all the same. That is very reassuring for them. Then of course in the school, that is part of the syllabus. We have life skills, and we teach these things. We integrate it even as we teach in our lessons, because we want them to have information, and we keep telling them it's wrong. We tell them how does it affect. I remember once when HIV was not so rampant, students were shown a documentary about a HIV positive person. They were showed how the man progressed. You know, Kitabo, they were saying, ni homa, ni homa, you know? After they saw that documentary, they said, hey, kama ni hivo, wacha ni chill, wacha ikae. You see? So, you know, creating the reality of this is what happens. If it is how those drugs affect, there are charts. There are charts that indicate if you take cocaine, this is how your brain is affected. If you take heroin, this is how your brain is affected. All those. This is how your reproductive system is. You know, they show. So, akiona naona, hey, let me not go that way. So, the school again, because kids stay much of the time in school, the school should really take up that role. And you know, kids, especially the small ones, they really believe the teachers. So, the teachers should take that as an advantage. Then, of course, the government should take stringent measures on those who are peddling. Because sometimes, you know, people are caught, the following day you see them. And so people are so like, sad. You know, they become hopeless. So the government, they know what they should do. And I think they are doing a lot. If you are caught with bangi, even if you are a minor, you are hausamehewi. It's true. It's true. Wow, that is eye-opening. Mama Abby, thank you so much for making time to be on the show and for teaching us about, you know, the issue, a huge issue that is stealing away children's and, you know, teens and young adults' futures. And I hope that as a parent at home, you are tuned in and you've heard on how to deal with these issues. Either you're a parent or, you know, a church leader or a leader in government or a teacher, you have heard that more praying is the most important, you know, just praying for our children, children of your neighbors, your relatives' children, just holding up the children in our prayers, because the devil is out to attack this generation. And so we have to hold them in prayer and just cover them with the blood of Jesus. Take the measures that should be taken as society, as a family, as you know, agents of socialization, because we are told that my people perish because of lack of knowledge. Do not let the lack of wisdom and the lack of knowledge affect the future of children. Let us, you know, arm them with all the information they need, arm them with everything that they need, and talk about these issues openly, because they are issues, and they are issues affecting our children, and some of them are going into schools and getting into these issues innocently just because they did not have the information. As Mama Abby has said, let us teach them these things. Let us give them these resources, because this is what they will use, you know, to go out there and say, Mom told me this, my dad told me, I was told this in school, I was told this in church, and I'm not going to involve myself in this. And more importantly, let us, you know, teach our children the word of God and pray with them and tell them this is what God expects from us when it comes to this, and to trust in God to protect our children. And for any young person out there, if you are struggling with drugs and substance abuse,
I can assure you that here, there are resources for you. There are people who are ready to help you. Call the number on your screen and someone will be ready to work with you. We are not out here to judge. We are out here to help and to make sure that your future is bright and that you're blessed. And I will leave you with a verse for the week that I read the other week that I want you to memorize, because the Bible says that keep the word in our hearts, that we may walk with it daily. And so from Titus, the book of Titus chapter 2 from verse 11 to 14. And it says, "For the grace of God has appeared that offers salvation to all people. It teaches us to say no to ungodliness and worldly passions, and to live self-controlled, upright and godly lives in this present age, while we wait for the blessed hope, the appearing of glory of our great God and Savior, Jesus Christ, who gave himself for us to redeem us from all wickedness and to purify for himself a people that are his very own, eager to do what is good." We are God's own people, and Jesus came and died on the cross for us so that we can be redeemed from all sins and from all ungodliness. And so it is God's desire that his grace, his grace is sufficient in our lives, and it's his desire that we are able to say no to everything that is ungodly. Please memorize on this verse and learn to say no to every form of ungodliness. Say no when you are introduced to drug abuse. Say no when you are introduced to alcohol. Say no when you are introduced to anything that is ungodly. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next week. God bless you.